We have something pretty unpleasant to talk about. It's not something that I enjoy talking about. It's not the reason why I wanted to get into the business of covering college basketball. But Chris Beard, the head coach at the University of Texas, was arrested early this morning, about 4:18 a.m., for assault by strangulation and suffocation, which is a third-degree felony. It was essentially domestic violence. He and his fiance had an altercation on Sunday night, and I'll walk you through a little bit of the details that were released in the police report and the arrest report that came out on Monday afternoon, just so everyone's on the same page and everybody understands what we're dealing with here. If domestic violence situations trigger you, consider this the trigger warning. It is not something that is pleasant to listen to or pleasant to read, but Beard's fiance said they've been together for a total of 6 years. And over the last couple of days, they had been upset with each other regarding their relationship issues. On Sunday night, a verbal altercation turned physical when she said he just snapped on me. It became super violent after she slapped or she grabbed a pair of his glasses and broke them. She went to another room. Beard followed a few minutes later, slapped glasses off of her face. She said he choked me. He threw me off the bed. He bit me, bruises all over my legs, throwing me around and going nuts. She concluded her statement to the police by saying, "I just did not feel safe, and that is why she called 911. She said that when he held her neck, she could not breathe for 5 seconds. And there's a lot more in the arrest report. You can find that in some of the articles that have been published about this and some of the breaking news, specifically from the Austin American-Statesman, who's been all over the story. I don't really want to read all that much more from it because you can kind of get the gist from there. But I will start off this conversation by saying this. If these allegations prove to be true, Chris Beard should not coach basketball ever again at the college level, let alone coach at the University of Texas. I think that they made the right decision suspending him indefinitely, although it took a little while longer than it probably should have. And we will see where it goes from here. They just finished playing an overtime game against Rice, in which they won, with Rodney Terry serving as the interim head coach. But we have not heard from athletic director Chris Alcante. As far as I know, Rodney Terry to this point has not yet spoken to the media, and nothing has come out from that. I do not expect him to say much of anything coming out of this, but it's not a fun thing to talk about. It's not a fun thing to read. It's not a fun thing to see. It's an unfortunate situation, one of Beard's own doing. And like I said, RC, if these allegations prove to be true, he should not coach Texas anymore, and he should not be coaching college basketball players anymore.
I mean, the first thing is, let's just hope prayers go out to the victim. I mean, if like I said, provided these things are true, I don't think that things would have progressed this far without some clarity on it. I mean, there's some action, and let's hope she's okay. And then a distant down the road, let's hope Chris eventually gets some help, because that's to react no matter what. There's no reason to react that way. And unfortunately did. This is tough on everybody involved. This is way bigger than a basketball issue. So, prayers to her. I hope she's okay, and let's hope Chris gets some help down the line. But right now, I think it's just a matter of time. Legal reasons, if this is true, I just think lawyers being involved and making sure everything is just from a legal standpoint, that, that the I's is dotted and the T's is crossed, is the only reason why he's not fired, probably effective immediately. So that stuff will take care of itself. But listen, let's just pray for her. Nothing good comes out of this. It's going to be a lot of hurt, a lot of embarrassment for a lot of people. And, we'll, as fans, people will talk about basketball games later. This is just much bigger than basketball games.
Yeah, there's no excuse. If those allegations are true, there is no excuse. And, you feel for the kids that trusted their college careers, man, to go to that university and having to deal with that. So prayers out to everyone. It's like I said, it's bigger than basketball, man. So hopefully he does get the help he needs, and hopefully those kids can kind of rally, together and kind of salvage the season, man. It's gonna be a lot of distractions. So, I feel for the families, and this is a decision that he made that it's gonna reverberate for years, man. So, feel terrible for everyone in that situation.
Yeah, I feel for his fiance. I feel for Beard's daughters who have to see their father in this light now.
Their whole
But John,
family, their
yeah, the
whole
whole
family,
family.
everybody. I mean, and that's why I said nothing good's going to come out of this from family, from relatives, even from Texas. Whether you're a Texas fan or you're not, it's not fair to those kids. It's not fair to that institution. Like, everybody around has to answer to this. This will be a cloud over everybody's head. And like I said again, no more victim than his fiance. I mean, no woman should have to go through that. And I mean, I know we don't like opening up the show and having to talk about that, but I think it is because, we talk about a lot of difficult stuff here, and we've never shied away from it. And Chris has been on this show several times, and I don't want anybody feeling as though like we're afraid to say. I think that we're all agreeing here that if this stuff is true, then he should never coach another game of basketball, period, and be around anyone, kids, and he needs help and counseling and all those things. But that decision has affected a lot of people, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I really like Chris as a person. He's one of the coaches that I'm probably closest with. When we were just in Austin, we hung out with him for about 3 hours after the game. He took us on a tour of the facilities before the game, and I say this as someone that knows him really well. And I mean, I just don't know what else to say other than the fact that if he's capable of doing something like, I don't think people are ever as bad as the worst thing that they do, right? But I also think I was talking with a buddy of mine about this. I also think that it's really important that we understand that having the privilege of being able to be the coach of an institution as prestigious as the University of Texas and to make the amount of money that he's making is a privilege. And you don't get to have that privilege if you are capable and you do something like this, if you commit the acts that he committed. I also want to say just something because I keep seeing people mentioning this. We have not heard from the victim in this yet. The lawyer that represents Chris Beard came out and said on the record to reporters that the victim in this case does not want the charges to continue and wants the charges dropped. We do not know if he represents her. If he does not represent her, I don't know why he is speaking publicly for her. And I think it's really important to understand that the dynamics of a domestic violence situation and the dynamics of an abuser and their victim is such that those situations are so difficult to deal with, in large part because of the control that the abuser has over the victim. So we don't necessarily know exactly how that works. We are not in that relationship with them, but I think it's very important to note that until we actually hear directly from the victim, directly from someone representing her that we know is representing her, we cannot take that as fact at this point. And I thought that was something that was important for us to get to and to talk about in this situation here. So I don't know really where else to go from there. I think that simply saying that if this ends up being true, then he cannot coach anymore. I think that is about as strong as you can say. I also think it is important to say that they made the right decision not letting him coach, right? And to your point, RC, it's going to take a little while to get when you're dealing with a situation where you have literally tens of millions of dollars in contracts signed. It takes a while to kind of work through all of that. You can't just rip it up in one day. But I do think that eventually it may take weeks, it may take months before we actually get the final say on that and the final ruling. But it's not, I would be very surprised if this is true, if we see Chris Beard coach Texas basketball ever again, to be a part of that program or team ever again.